Process, process, process. It has to be about the process of making the drawing, not simply about the end result. So oftentimes when we're working on our own, working from home, working without the driving pressure of finishing a drawing in a certain amount of time, we slow down, we take our time, and the drawings get stale and careful, and they don't work. So there has to be a flow, give and take in making the drawing. So often we get caught in I make a good start, I'll work the drawing to its inevitable conclusion. That doesn't work. You have to start it, fall back, move forward, erase it, quiet it down, back and forth until you find a good stopping point. So with this quick video here, I'm going to take you through my process for working and reworking a drawing, bringing that life back into the drawing. I'm working here from an image that I found online. There are plenty of places to find source material to draw from. Just do a search, find an image, and go. The important thing here is to find an image that has good light and shadow. Your drawing can only be as good as the contrast, as the light and shadow built into your source image. My materials here are vine charcoal on rag paper. Rag because I have plenty of it in stock, I have scraps of it. Plus, it's my preferred drawing paper. You should use whatever decent paper you have available. Rag, white paper, whatever. Not newsprint, it won't hold up. I'm using my brush to scrub this back down to gray, to quiet it all back down again. Then I take my eraser and I carve out big planes of light. I push back in with my charcoal big planes of dark. Just to have another look at the image, a different way to evaluate the image. I'm finding anatomy. I'm taking what I know of muscles and the skeleton, and I'm building that back into my image as landmarks. This is the time where you measure and rework and measure again. Measure how wide things are to how tall things are. Check the anatomy. Adjust. Don't let the ghost of your previous drawing have too much influence on what you're doing now. If a hip is in the wrong place, move it. Rework, measure everything. The paper towel is perfect for quieting, smudging the details in a drawing. The brush is great for big quieting, big planar shifts, building up, knocking down. When you're getting to the fine detail work, the brush can be too aggressive. So paper towel is a perfect smudging tool. Chamois tends to take away more charcoal, whereas with the paper towel, you can fold it and shape it and make the size smudging tool that you need, and it's more of a blender. I use a paper towel in place of smudging with my fingers. I know some of you are finger smudgers, born and raised. Fine. You are transferring the oil from your skin to your drawing, thus making your drawing slicker and slicker and harder to receive charcoal. Whereas that may be fine in a shorter drawing. Longer drawings, you're going to be sealing off the paper and therefore not accepting more charcoal. Now remember, your goal here is to build from very general shapes to very specific shapes. You're constantly looking for planes of light and planes of darks. Your first few rounds are general shapes of lights and darks. Maybe you find a wedge or two or a specific moment. But you don't get too caught up in how perfect can you render this section. Keep it general, because you're going to work it back and forth until it ends up in the right place instead of trying to hit the right place off the bat. Somewhere along the way here, you start to leave behind marks that might be the final marks to the drawing. Maybe the moments that you saw coming, you planned, you went for it, and it turned out okay. Maybe there's spots that you roughed in and you left the moves long enough that you grew an appreciation for them. That these placeholders end up working or having some life or spontaneity to it, that you end up leaving alone because they're good enough to carry that part of the drawing. And the other side of that is you can get hung up on areas that are working, that you think are working, that you're attached to. And then you want to keep them safe. And so an area will suffer because you become precious about one little part of the drawing. The drawing has to stay malleable. So sometimes you have to kill that thing you love in order to keep the drawing working. Process, process, process. And now, my friends, it is your turn. Find an image that you like, follow this process, go play.